The goal of this season, more than anything else, is about finding out whether Jalen Hurts could be the long-term answer at starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. If he's not throwing the ball in those intermediate zones, you're not going to find the answer. No matter what the record is, no matter where you are, no matter if you make the playoffs with a 9-8 record in a bad division, you're not going to know. So it's time to take the shrink wrap off Jalen Hurts if you're Nick Sirianni, because the goal is to find out what you have in this player. Can't protect him. Got to let him play.
Football 24/7 across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel with NFL insider John McMullen, all presented by Stateside Vodka. Go to statesidevodka.com, use the keyword JAKIB, and save 15% off of a 1-liter bottle. It's the kickoff to Dallas week here on Football 24/7. Our official kickoff on the YouTube channel started this morning on Birds 365 with Jody Mack and Johnny Mack, who began the conversation or the dialogue. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of it, Johnny Mack, as the team gets ready to go into Dallas for a Monday night matchup, because they will not see Dallas again until the last game of the season.
Yeah, and Dallas week is always big. A little bit of a late start because it's a Monday night game, obviously. So everything kind of pushed back a day during the week. So nothing going on really at the NovaCare complex media-wise today. Tomorrow is Coordinators Day, which would typically be on Tuesday during a normal week. The big practice, the longest practice, would typically be on a Wednesday. It's now on a Thursday and so forth. So you go Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Then obviously standalone Monday night game against the Dallas Cowboys. So Nick Sirianni's first opportunity at a primetime audience as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
I know that you did. I know that you mentioned yesterday on the Football 24/7 report that we did last night here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, John. You gave a great example of a deep dive that you did. You started to do your deep dive into the Sunday game. Part of that deep dive, what did you see did you see anything different from the head coach after the fact that you may not have seen in real time on Sunday?
No, I think, the concerns from Sunday, if we're going to look back, remain, what was the disconnect from week 1 and week 2? What was the difference? I think Nick Sirianni kind of intimated that it was a game plan. If you look at it from the perspective of the 49ers came into that game with both of their starting cornerbacks out. So maybe they thought they could go down the field, the Eagles, with some success. And they did. I mean, you had the 91-yard play for Quez Watkins. You should have had a 36-yard touchdown to Jalen Reagor, but he stepped out of bounds. So that kind of wiped that off the board. And they had some other opportunities where they didn't hook up, a couple under throws from Jalen Hurts. But there's got to be a nice mixture. It can't be all or nothing. Week 1 it was all short stuff. Week 2 it's all long stuff. And I just wrote about this on Sports Illustrated, Krausey. It's where's the intermediate stuff. So they have pass charts. Now Next Gen Stats, the NFL puts them out. So you can go to that article and look at Jalen Hurts' pass charts. I said they should be sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts because there's a big hole in the middle. There's nothing. There is nothing in the middle of the football field. Nothing. And it's bizarre. And look, it's a small sample size. Now, there's two ways you can go. You're at a fork in the road. why is this going on? Does the head coach not trust the quarterback to throw the football in the middle of the field because it's more dangerous? Let's be honest. That's where you might get a tip ball. If there's a tip ball, if there's an inaccurate ball down the middle of the field, it goes up in the air. It could be intercepted easily. That's bad though. If the quarterback doesn't trust, if the coach doesn't trust the quarterback to throw the football in the middle of the field, could be Jalen Hurts. There are a couple times, no doubt about it. He's not getting the ball out on time, and he'll pull it down and he'll run it. And maybe those are some of the intermediate throws that are supposed to be in the game plan, but they turn into scrambles. I don't know. It's too early to tell, but I will say this. The goal of this season, more than anything else, is about finding out whether Jalen Hurts could be the long-term answer at starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. If he's not throwing the ball in those intermediate zones, you're not going to find the answer. No matter what the record is, no matter where you are, no matter if you make the playoffs with a 9-8 record in a bad division, you're not going to know. So it's time to take the shrink wrap off Jalen Hurts if you're Nick Sirianni, because the goal is to find out what you have in this player. Can't protect him. Got to let him play.
How long will Howie Roseman allow it to go on?
Well, it's interesting because I mentioned that on the show this morning. I wrote about it. At some point, Howie Roseman will have to step in if this continues. Because, there's a disconnect, and this isn't about Philadelphia, everywhere. If you're the head coach of a football team, your goal, to use this week as an example, is to beat the Dallas Cowboys on Monday night. That's your goal. That's the only thing you're focused on. Howie Roseman, as the GM of this team, has to have a wider view, has to have a more macro view. And that's where you come in and say, look, this is about more than just the Dallas Cowboys on Monday night. We have to find out what we have in this particular player. And if that means going 7-10 versus 9-8, that's okay. As long as you have that answer. Because the worst position you can be in after 17 games is not knowing where you are at the quarterback position. Maybe he's the guy, maybe he isn't the guy. You want a firm answer. Either you think he is the guy or you think he isn't the guy. And the only way you can get to that answer is if you let him play football. Let him be free. Let him do everything. No more of this kid glove treatment.
Football 24/7 with John McMullen. Fascinating conversation out of the box here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel presented by Stateside Vodka. I'm processing as I listen and I consume what you're saying, John, and I'm kind of playing back in my mind the leading into the opening game where the coach was talking about, calling plays that were going to play to the skill set of the quarterback. And I think we saw a little bit of that, or at least, at least the way the game plan played out, Jalen was in a position to have success. Now, after listening to your analysis of that, I wonder if there's a disconnect between what Jalen wants to do and what the coach wants to call.
I don't know if it's that. I don't want to go down that road. It's only 2 games. There's one successful game, one unsuccessful game.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I bring it up is because there is this sort of weird absence of, look, you have to go. I don't know how else to put it. At some point, you have to go down the middle of the field. So if you think about those hash marks in the middle of the field, the middle of an NFL football field, Jalen Hurts did not throw one pass inside the hash marks against the San Francisco 49ers. Against Atlanta, one on the left hash, one throw. Two full NFL games. People are asking, where's Dallas Goedert? Where's Zach Ertz? That's where your tight ends are supposed to be, the middle of the field. They're supposed to be your security blanket, those guys. You're not throwing the football there, so they're not getting involved. It's got to change.
The game is Monday night. The Eagles are, or Dallas rather, is favored. They should be. The question comes up as we transition into looking at the game. Can the Eagle offense go point for point, match an offense that's probably going to score some points? Although you can push back immediately and say, hey, Krausey, I'm not so sure. The defense has done a pretty good job the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, they have. I mean, they've given up 23 points in 2 games. That's pretty good. That's less than 12 points a game. So you give up 6 points, you should win the football game. They won it. You give up 17 points, you should win a football game. And certainly in the modern NFL, they didn't win it. So I don't know. I've been talking about it for a long time now. There are certain teams that are going to score points because in the modern NFL, I always talk about it's really difficult to play defense. And it's sort of like in the old days, the adage was a good defense beats a good offense. In the modern game, a good offense is going to beat a good defense. There's nothing you can do if Tom Brady's on, if Patrick Mahomes is on, if Aaron Rodgers is on. They're going to gash you at times. And you're going to see these games. You saw it Sunday night, Baltimore, Kansas City. You saw it last night with Aaron Rodgers. You saw it in Arizona with Kyler Murray. Just up and down the field like a video game. Can the Eagles win a game like that? I don't think so. Not right now. I've been saying that for a while. If you have to score 35, 40 points, are they capable of doing that? I haven't seen any evidence that they're capable of doing that. Right now, they want to play from the lead. They want to keep that sort of running a game that is spearheaded by Jalen Hurts, the RPO type offense in play. And the last thing they want is to get down 2 scores like they did against San Francisco, because then you got to drop back and throw the football. That's not the strength of that team right now. As you saw, when they became one-dimensional, Quez Watkins was the last reception. The 91-yard play to Quez Watkins was the last reception in the game to a wide receiver. And that came with 6.5 minutes left in the second quarter. So they won about 37 minutes without getting the football to a wide receiver. What changed? Well, after the 91-yard reception, after the failed 4th and 3, the Philly unspecial, San Francisco went down the field and scored. They took the lead for the first time. That's what changed. The Eagles at that point became a little bit more one-dimensional. Then when they got down by 2 scores, they became really one-dimensional.
Good stuff from NFL insider John McMullen tonight across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Roster move today, John. I guess there's going to be a little bit of shuffling. Give us an update on BG and BB, and then the update, the roster move and the roster update from today.
Yeah, as expected, the Eagles placed Brandon Graham and Brandon Brooks on injured reserve. Brandon Graham obviously is out for the season with a torn Achilles. Brandon Brooks is supposed to return at some point from a strained pec, what is being described as a strained pec by the team. But he's going to miss at best 3 games, and that's probably being kind, but he has to sit out 3 games by going on injured reserve. But he's probably going to be out a little bit longer than that. The Eagles signed an offensive lineman, Jack Anderson, off the Buffalo Bills practice squad. He was a 7th-round pick by the Bills this year out of Texas Tech. So they made that move. They also brought back Richard Rodgers to the practice squad. Tight end we're all familiar with. Insurance for Zach Ertz, who's on the reserve COVID list now. And they still have 2 open roster spots. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Now, Zach, hopefully, because he's vaccinated, if he's asymptomatic and if he can pass 2 tests, he can play in the Cowboys game. He'll be activated. He'll be back on the 53-man roster. So then they would have 1 spot to fill. And they also worked out a couple of players today. Most notably, I would say keep an eye on this one. It was Cameron Malveaux, who's a defensive end. With Brandon Graham going down, that would make a lot of sense. They also worked out a wide receiver, Deion Kane, who had a little bit of experience with Nick Sirianni in Indianapolis. And they worked out a linebacker, Dylan Cole, who had been with the Texans. So they're looking, you do that. Tuesdays in the NFL are generally when teams work out players and you try to get a file on guys that if you need them. But the Eagles might be looking for another body at defensive end. So that's why I put a little asterisk next to the name Cameron Malveaux.
John, I didn't get a chance to read the article, but I saw Ed Kratz put an article out today about Brandon Brooks. And I think the crux of the article was whether or not he was going to play again for this for the Eagles roster. I don't know if you saw the article or what was the content of it, and if not, we can move past it. I didn't get a chance to read it. I just saw the headline. There's the headline, and then there's the details. Is there anything worth noting from that?
Yeah, I mean the Eagles, and Brandon himself confirmed that the Eagles were shopping Brandon Brooks in the offseason for a couple reasons. One, he's got a very big contract. 2, he's aging. He's over 30. He's 32 years old. So you have that aspect of as well. And he has a lengthy injury history that just got a little bit longer. So if you're the Eagles, and remember, they drafted Landon Dickerson in the 2nd round. Landon Dickerson is here to start in 2022. So he's going to start for either Jason Kelce or Brandon Brooks. Jason Kelce has always said to date that he's going year by year at this point. There's always at least a little bit of a chance that he'll walk away. In that case, it could potentially be for Jason Kelce. If not, it's probably going to be for Brandon Brooks, and the Eagles are going to look to move on from that contract, more of a salary cap thing, an injury-related thing. So there is a possibility, at least, that Brandon Brooks is not going to be here next year. Now, where I disagree with Ed is he's going to be back this season. The Eagles have made that clear. This is not a season-ending injury. So I do think he'll play for the team again. But I think it's looking less and less likely that he will be back in 2022.
Do you think, or do you expect Landon Dickerson to line up next to Lane Johnson for on Monday?
He did not play well against San Francisco, and I rewatched the game, and in first glance when I was there, I said, he struggled. If in the first play came in, I mentioned he got bowled over, and that was the 91-yard pass to Quez Watkins. Um, as I rewatched the game, he was not very good in pass protection as a whole. Struggled pretty mightily. I went to Pro Football Focus. Now, I have never seen such a low grade on pass protection. They gave him a 4.9. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's out of 100. 4.9 out of 100. That's pretty poor. And it kind of looked that poor. Now, he just returned to practice last week. He tore his ACL on December 19th at Alabama. He had not practiced other than a limited fashion, doing some stretching, doing some individual drills. His first full practice with the Eagles coming off the knee injury was last week. And all of a sudden he's thrown into the game mid-game. And so he'll be better if he has a week to practice as the starter. But I do think the team will have to look very hard at Nate Herbig, who played a lot last season and is probably more ready to play right now than Landon Dickerson. Maybe give him a little bit of time to get ramped up and more comfortable coming back from the injury. But they have that decision to make, and they're going to make that decision. I would probably go with Nate Herbig. We'll see how they would go.
Football 24/7 with NFL insider John McMullen here across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Because of the Monday night game, the normal Wednesday on Birds 365, which would have John McMullen not on Birds 365, or will you still be? Do you still have to report to NovaCare tomorrow, and will Jeff Kerr be in with Jody Mack tomorrow?
No, our Wednesday is a Thursday.
Okay, very good.
Wednesday is typically COVID testing. That's why I'm not on Birds 365. That's going to happen on Thursday this week. So Jeff's going to be in Thursday. I'll join the show at the beginning of the show, though, at 8 o'clock. Then I got to get off to get down there for COVID testing. So Wednesday is coordinator day, which is typically Tuesday. So everything is pushed back a day because of Monday night.
John, I want to ask you, and we're getting close to getting out of here, but I do want to ask you about two things. One, what it means, the loss of Brandon Graham, what it means to this, to Fletcher Cox, to how the defense is going to respond. Are they going to do things differently? Do they need to do things differently? Will it change where Fletcher lines up?
No, I don't think it'll change much with Fletcher Cox or Javon Hargrave. It's going to change for Josh Sweat and Derek Barnett. But I think the goal is ultimately to get those two on the field at the same time as much as possible. And to do that, one of them's going to have to play out of position because typically they're both rotating at the right defensive end spot. Now they're going to have to take snaps at left defensive end to replace Brandon Graham. You want to get your four best defensive linemen on the field, especially in the fourth quarter in a close game. And that's going to be Josh Sweat, Derek Barnett, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave. So how does Jonathan Gannon do it? And then you talk about the rotation. Ryan Kerrigan is comfortable at left end, so that stays the same. Milton Williams might be the guy to keep an eye on because he was drafted as sort of the heir apparent to Brandon Graham. They think he's a very similar player stylistically in that he can play outside and he can shift inside as a pass rusher like Brandon Graham used to do. So Milton Williams, who has been playing mainly as a backup defensive tackle, might have to play a little bit more outside to help replace some of the reps from Brandon Graham.
This is where I need your expertise, John, because looking at the play sheet that you post after the game, the snap count, I was I was surprised to see the Josh Sweat and the number of plays that he played in the game on Sunday. To me, it looked like it was low. And this is a guy who just got a big deal, right? So I'm trying to wonder why it was, or perhaps you're going to tell me, no, it wasn't really. No, it really wasn't.
No, it was low. It was low because it was the 49ers. So the 49ers are one of those teams that have a fullback, that have a blocking tight end. They play a lot of 21 personnel, a lot of 12 personnel. Most teams do not in the NFL. So the Eagles were very, very concerned about stopping the running game, and they wanted more of their run defenders. You'll notice Avonte Maddox, for instance. Avonte Maddox usually plays much more than the third linebacker, who is Jannard Avery. Well, in this game, Jannard Avery played much more than Avonte Maddox. The rest of the 17 games, probably not going to happen again. That's how few teams. Minnesota's not on the Eagles' schedule. They play a lot of 21. It's probably the last time you're going to see it this year. It was just the opponent, and Derek Barnett's regarded as the better run defender than Josh Sweat, so he played more.
That's why you're the expert. NFL insider John McMullen across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, presented by Stateside Vodka. Go to statesidevodka.com, punch the keyword in JAKIB, save 15% on a 1-liter bottle. Let's get out of it. Last question for John McMullen. Game planning for that Dallas Cowboy offense that will begin back on the field Thursday, I guess, is when they'll start to the players will start to prepare. How will they game plan, John, against the Cowboy offense?
It's going to be interesting. Now, the Cowboys are down Michael Gallup. He's probably not going to play. We're going to have to see. I know Amari Cooper got banged up. I think he's okay. They got their running game going a little bit. Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard got going. So that affects. They have some offensive line issues. Lyle Collins is suspended. So maybe that kind of the injuries, suspensions give the Eagles a little bit of a break, because this is a very explosive offense. To me, though, the bigger question is the Cowboys' defense is not good. And it's not good when DeMarcus Lawrence is there, who is by far their best player. Well, he's out as well. So the Eagles should be able to score some points, because everybody should be able to score some points against the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm really more interested to see how they attack that Cowboys defense, because it's not very good. And again, shrink wrap, training wheels, whatever you want to use, they got to come on.
Good stuff tonight with NFL insider John McMullen across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Right back here tomorrow with Birds 365. Big announcement tomorrow on behalf of John McMullen. I'm excited for that tomorrow. We'll make that big announcement tomorrow. Johnny Mac, very excited about that as you continue your dominance here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Also, just a reminder that Wednesday is technically Thursday. Thursday is technically Friday. Friday is technically Saturday. Does that make sense?
Well, Thursday is Wednesday.
Oh,
Friday
okay. Yeah. Thursday is the other way, right?
Saturday is Friday.
By the way, when does the team fly into Dallas?
Sunday.
Okay, so they'll fly into Sunday. I assume maybe you will as well. And we look
forward. And because it's a night game, they might even do Monday, but I doubt it. It'll probably be Sunday.
All right, good stuff from NFL insider John McMullen here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. We thank everyone for liking, sharing, and continuing to subscribe to the JAKIB Media channel. On behalf of John McMullen, on behalf of Xander Krause, I'm Joe Krause. See you next time, everybody.